Have you ever stopped to think about how farmers get our food to grow, especially when the weather is all over the place? Well, today, we're going to dive into some of the brilliant methods they use to make sure we get a great harvest. We're talking everything from ancient water tricks to some really smart modern ways of planting.
So let's just start with the most basic question, right? Why is a dry spell, a drought, so absolutely crushing for a farm? I mean, what's really going on with the plants when they just don't get enough water?
It's pretty simple. Water is the lifeblood of a plant. It's a non-negotiable part of photosynthesis, that incredible process that turns sunlight into energy. And it's also the delivery system, kind of like a superhighway that carries all those vital nutrients from the soil right up to the leaves. So no water means a plant can't eat, it can't grow, and, well, it's not going to make it.
Now, just try to imagine your entire job, your whole livelihood, depending completely on the weather. That's the reality for millions of farmers. You look at a place like India, where so much of the farming is rain-fed, and the success of a harvest is totally at the mercy of the monsoon. If that monsoon is late or just plain weak, it's the difference between a great year and a total disaster.
So what's the solution? How do you fight back against something as unpredictable as Mother Nature? You take control of the water. And that brings us to our first huge topic, irrigation. It's been a lifeline for farmers for, well, centuries.
So what is it exactly? In the simplest terms, irrigation is just the act of artificially watering your crops. It's all about giving plants the water they need exactly when they need it to make sure they grow healthy and strong.
And farmers have come up with some really clever ways to do this over the years. The big ones are wells, canals, river lift systems, and tanks. Let's take a quick look at how each of these works.
All right, let's break them down. You've got wells. Some are old-school dug wells, others are more modern tube wells. But both are tapping into that precious groundwater stored deep underground. Canals? Think of them like man-made rivers, these huge networks that channel water from big sources like rivers or reservoirs out to the fields. River lift systems are exactly what they sound like. They use big pumps to lift water right out of a nearby river. And finally, tanks, which are basically small local reservoirs designed to catch and store rainwater. Super smart.
And it's not just about these big systems anymore. Farmers are getting smarter with more sustainable practices too. Things like rainwater harvesting or building these small check dams, they don't just give you more water, they actually help recharge the groundwater and stop your precious topsoil from washing away. It's a win-win for the farm and the environment.
But managing water is only half the battle. How you actually plant your crops can make a massive difference. And that leads us to the really fascinating topic of cropping patterns.
Okay, first up we've got mixed cropping, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. You're growing 2 or more different crops all at the same time in the same field, with no specific rows or anything. You just mix them up.
So why would you do that? Well, it's all about reducing risk. It's like insurance. If some pest comes along and wipes out one of your crops, hey, you still got the other ones to harvest. It's a built-in safety net for your farm.
Okay, next is intercropping. Now this is also about growing multiple crops together, but there's a huge difference here: organization. Instead of just mixing the seeds, the crops are planted in a very specific alternating pattern, usually in rows.
And this is a great way to see what I'm talking about. See those clean, alternating rows of different plants? That very deliberate pattern is what makes intercropping so special and gives it some really cool advantages.
The real magic of intercropping is how strategic it is. You plant crops that need different things from the soil, like soybean and maize, so you get the most out of your nutrients. Plus, those alternating rows act like a physical barrier, which can actually help stop pests and diseases from spreading through your whole field.
All right, our last one is crop rotation. And this is more of a long-term strategy. It's not about what you plant together in one season, it's about the planned sequence of different crops you plant in the same field year after year.
All three of these methods have one thing in common: diversity. So why is that so important for the soil? Well, different plants have different roots, and they need different nutrients. Some plants, like legumes, do this amazing thing where they actually add nitrogen back into the soil. So by rotating your crops, you keep the soil chemistry balanced and stop it from getting completely worn out.
Okay, now that we've looked at each one, let's put them all side by side. It'll make the differences really pop.
This chart is just perfect. It lays it all out. You can see each one has its own unique goal. Mixed cropping is your safety net, hedging your bets. Intercropping is more scientific, trying to get the most out of every square inch in a single season. And crop rotation? That's the long game, all about investing in the future health of your soil.
So let's put it all together now. We've got water management on one side and smart planting on the other, but the real magic happens when you combine the two.
And this right here, this simple equation says it all. When you combine efficient water use with these smart cropping patterns, you get a system that's incredibly productive and good for the environment. It's a total win-win for the farmer and for the planet.
So let's just do a super quick recap of the main ideas. Irrigation is all about control, giving your crops the water they need when they need it. Mixed cropping is your insurance policy. Intercropping is your strategy for maximizing resources right now. And crop rotation is your key to keeping the soil healthy for generations to come.
You know, a lot of these ideas have been around for centuries, but they might just be the key to our future. So the big question for all of us is, how can we take these timeless, smart principles and adapt them to feed a modern, growing world? It's a huge challenge, but one we've got to figure out. Thanks so much for tuning in.